Hey, 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 freaks. Welcome to our very first episode of High Vibes and Hazy Thoughts. I'm your girl, Lonnie.
And I'm Serenity, your partner in Haze, here to keep the vibes high and the thoughts even higher.
That's right, freaks. Today's episode is coming to you on April 16th, 2025. So we're sending out good vibes to everyone who's listening, whether you're cruising through your day or just chilling with us.
We've got some fun stuff to talk about today, but first, shout out to all our freaks out there. You know we love you, and we're so pumped to have you tuning in as we vibe and chat through the haze.
So kick back, relax. Let's dive into today's topic. Let's get hazy and let those high vibes flow. You ready, Serenity?
Born ready, Lonnie. Let's get into it.
Yeah!
Yeah!
We have our topic today,
Yes.
which is I'm just gonna go in here and read my spreadsheet. So today is our soul phases. It's our very first episode. Oh my god,
Woo!
I'm so excited.
Let's go!
So we have soul phases, the evolution of spirituality, which is awesome. I think I know Serenity and I talk about this all the time, and it's just really exciting to think about it. And I actually like doing the research for this. I realized how much I've done, not even really knowing
Yes.
that I'm hitting each one of these phases,
Yes.
right? Like I had no idea, which I think is so cool and
Yes.
so amazing when you start to like really start to learn about what you're doing and what awakening happens and what that is. Because I feel like when I've even as like really young, you have like these moments in time where I always go, I woke up. All of a sudden,
All of a sudden, it's a
I
reborn.
was awake. Yes, like a reborn. I mean, I can remember specific times, and it always happens at a moment where you're dealing with so much trauma
Yes.
that you all of a sudden wake up and you go, "What
It
the?
forces
what,
you to
why
wake
am?
up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like, why is this happening? Or why me? And you get those thoughts. And it's like, okay, so where do we go from here? Like, what are the answers to why is this happening to me? Would I behave that way? Would do I reflect my trauma? Do I behave in the way that they do? You get to those questions and it's like, okay, how can I be better than that? Than my experience. And then on comes the DNA spiral of spirituality and the growth and all that. And I love it, dude. It's hard and sometimes it sucks, you can get into that mindset where it's like, God, why does it have to be me? Like it's not easy, but once you see how much you've grown and after the experiences, it's like, oh my God, I was actually able to do that. I was prior to this, I was like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. All I know is that I'm being very reactive and I'm living in my ego.
yes,
And that's where it all begins, the unconsciousness, the ego.
yeah, exactly. And just really coming to that point where you're like going, also, I cannot keep living this way. I have to stop this cycle.
Yes.
And it's
With
also
passion.
that, right? It's like we're constantly repeating cycles, repeating things for our soul to learn before we wake up and we're like, I need a change. This has to stop.
Because it makes you uncomfortable. You
Yeah.
get uncomfortable with yourself, and you're like, "Well, I feel ashamed. I feel like I regret some things because I was living in the ego." And you're aware of all of that. And I do believe that is a part of the first stage. And the stage I'm at now, I have so much forgiveness for myself in those times. I don't shame myself anymore like I used to. It comes from a place of I get it. I understand why I may have behaved in a way that I was outside of my character.
Right.
I was still growing.
Yeah. And it's forgiveness. It's forgiving ourselves for that past of what we've done or like what we, kind of like being stuck in that pattern and repeating actions, repeating what we say to other people that might not be a compassionate way,
And it never feels good afterwards.
and it never feels good afterwards.
No. And
Yeah.
you like start to ask yourself, like, how do I stop this cycle? How do I stop attracting certain people? How do I stop manifesting certain people into my life so that I can actually feel good about the people around me, or work environments, or whatever the situation you may be in that you're not exactly resonating with.
Right. Exactly. I thought we could go into looking at actually what the, definitions are of these different phases that we know people, at least like a lot of people out there that do a lot of study on this.
Yes,
Write
the same
books
thing we're doing.
about it. Yes, the same thing we're doing about
We're
it.
studying them.
Yes, we're studying them and bringing it to our freaks, so that
Let's go, freaks.
they can also help awaken and learn and see. It's not always about the people who make it their life to do these studies. It's also about us. It's just about the regular person who is also on this journey and craving information, craving that knowledge, and not sure where to go or how to start, or am I on that journey?
Yeah, what stage am I at?
Yeah, like what's going on here?
So the person that I looked into was Regards Ray. Saw her on YouTube, and she just did a little cartoon version of what she was talking about. What about you? What did you research?
Yeah,
So
I was looking at some different things. So I was also kind of looked at one person in particular on, he has a podcast. His name is Michael Singer. So he really was talking about the different stages of spiritual awakening. And I think that really is what we're touching on, right? And what we just were talking about is from starting from the ego, attachment, and to spiritual liberation, right? And those really are like our soul phases that need to that help us with realizing what is self-doubt, how do we get past that, and then we get to the self-realization that we are one, we are I am. And I say I am because that's a big one that I hear across, even like when you think about TikTok. So many people out there are talking about I am, right? Yes. And I think another person that I really resonate with, that I've listened to and read about, was Wayne Dyer. So, and that's Dyer. I know, I just want to make sure, because he's really, really amazing. And not only he writes books, but he also does some YouTube videos. And he also does some meditation music and stuff, which I have found to be really, really helpful.
Oh, so he does the whole shebang.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I really liked what he has and what I've learned from him too. So, yeah.
With mine, with Regards Ray, I think it is. Yes, Regards Ray. She explains it as stage 1 being unconsciousness, stage 2 ego death, stage 3 the search, stage 4 emergence of the authentic self, and stage 5 life of alignment. I took my own notes on it, but you know how I am. I make long notes. So I'm just going to go over kind of key points that I resonate with, and with all stages, honestly. I really do. Stage 1, the unconsciousness. You are, unconscious. You don't know what's going on around you. You don't realize what's going on around you, and you're reacting aimlessly. And that's a big word, because aimlessly is I don't know what's going on, and it really does depend on your trauma too, because if you have a big backstory, a big history, and big trauma, you have a lot of healing to do, and a lot of unlearning as well. Unlearning is a big thing, because she also expresses that going back to when you're a child, we go back to that, validating our emotions, expressing them. We just have a better way of going about them. Going through it, the ego, I also feel like I'm resonating with that stage. The search, I feel like I started the search before my ego death. I had several ego deaths. I do think that the ego death is the second stage, But like she mentioned as well, the DNA spiral. So it ebbs and flows. It goes all over the place. You know, you go back to old habits so that you can remind yourself what you need to work on. There's plenty of old habits that I thought I outgrew, but in a lot of ways, I haven't outgrown them. So I'm still working through those things, even if I know how to do it a bit better now. And that comes with the ego.
Yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to start with that, with the fact that we have these 4 phases. And let's touch on each one of these phases. And kind of like we're going to present to our freaks out there because I know each one of you guys have also probably experienced this yourself and you just didn't realize it. And that's part of what I feel like our mission is here right now, is to really help you because we kind of were doing this on our own. And I feel like, we want to give back. And this is really important to both me and Serenity.
Yes.
So let's start with phase 1. So Serenity, let's get back into the explanation that you kind of had for phase 1, and let's kind of give examples of what we did.
Okay, phase 1, unconsciousness. Oof. So that's a big one. Yeah. I was living very unconsciously. I was living in my ego. And like I was saying earlier, that comes with trauma too. So if you do have a lot of trauma or a lot of history, or you do feel strongly about certain events or situations that have happened in your life, you'll have a subconscious reaction to the world around you. And that may look kind of sporadic and aimless. And it can have you, when you are unconscious, you don't feel the shame, you don't feel the guilt, because you're not really aware of it. You don't really know anything else. You just know that this is, your parents yell at each other when they're mad. Okay, now I'm mad. So, okay, I yell. That's how I was taught. That's what I saw, product of my environment.
Yeah, exactly. And then for me, that's very similar, right? So for me, though, kind of getting really deep into things to kind of help our freaks understand exactly where we're coming from, too, is my trauma when we're dealing with family really is about the shame that they're putting on us, the people pleasing that I needed to do, and constantly having to make sure everybody else was okay before myself, right? So I neglected myself. Let's say like not eating. I wouldn't eat because I needed to make sure everybody else
ate first.
Everybody had their things. I couldn't get angry. If I got angry about anything, I was shut down. I was a horrible person. How dare you do this? How dare you even think about yourself?
It's not a big deal.
Yeah. So it's like in those moments, you're living that constantly, and it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain that we're living in, and we don't even realize it. We don't even realize it because we think we're doing the right thing.
And we're also just living in our own world. We just see our family, and then that's just like the people we have around us, and we're not really conscious of other people around us because we're just not conscious. This is the environment I was raised in. Whatever my family's opinion is my opinion. Whatever they believe is what I believe.
Yep. Yeah.
And if we lived in a more open, family, like, oh, I don't mind what you believe in. Like, go explore and do your thing. We probably would have been raised in a different way in that aspect, but that was forced upon us because of that. So unlearning all of that is going to be a part of that process as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I know too, just to kind of touch on one more thing that I think really is the part that I really think throughout this whole journey for me was when I think about the violence. So I dealt with a lot of violence in my childhood. And as I grew up, violence for me was something that you did. Like you did. You hit people.
Violence was the answer.
The violence was the answer, right? And And I remember specifically, like, that was what they were teaching me. This is how you have to be.
When you're angry, you hit.
You hit, yeah. And, you know, I think going into the piece where you all of a sudden wake up, it was this one time when I was like 13. And I remember my stepmom, who was really teaching me about this type of violence, basically told me these girls were coming over or something, and she had already kind of egged them on and was saying that, you know, go ahead, try and come over here. I'm going to send you out. Like, basically, Lonnie, go out there. You need to go fight these girls right now. And I was like, okay, like, that's fine.
Oh my God.
Like, that's the way you got to be. Like, that's what you do. And all of a sudden I was waking up. It was like my brain, all of a sudden I was like, this isn't right. Like, they didn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
Why do I need to go and fight these girls? Like, I don't even know who they are.
And did you feel like you had to fight them? Like, she made you and it wasn't part of your decision? It's just like, oh, my mom said so I have to now.
Yeah. It was totally like that. And it was kind of that awakening when these girls were coming and yelling at me and, you know, basically going, come over here. Come out of your yard. We got to make this, so we're going to beat your ass over here. And I'm like, wait a minute. What am I doing? What's happening?
Why am I beating your ass right now? Wait, I forgot. Hold on. Mom. You remind me, please. I don't remember. That's crazy.
But, right? So
That's
it's
insane.
it's this awakening. All of a sudden you're like going, I don't want to live like you. I don't want, this is not who I am. And I feel like, you know, that's kind of like, and I want to ask you, because you've got the list in front of me.
Let's go.
If we're looking at phase 2, does that hit phase 2? Am I coming to that piece?
Yes, that's the ego death. That's that ego death. And that's, you know, like I said earlier, there's going to be multiple of them too, you know. I definitely don't feel like that's going to be our first ego death. So many comes after that where it's just like, oh, here's another awakening. Oh, here's more things I need to work on. Oh, here's another experience that reminds me that I'm also not done with that old habit that I thought I was done with. You know, now I have to actually work on that, you know.
Right.
It's the story of the unconscious that leads into the ego death. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden now I'm aware of what's going on. Or like you do become aware. Because like before you couldn't see what was going on. And so now it's like, oh my God, all this stuff is happening around me and I don't agree with it. I feel like what really started it for me when I was unconscious, I don't know. I feel like I shut down a lot. I didn't really talk about my emotions. I also went through some things in my childhood from ages 3 to 11. I don't really want to get into that, but that changed me in so many ways, and that still has altered me today. And I'm still working through that, you know, healing in those aspects. But as far as, you know, my natural childhood goes, like there was just, everything was an issue. Everything was a problem. I was always doing something wrong. And when I thought I was doing something right, I was wrong. And when I thought I was doing something wrong, I was right, you know? So it was very confusing. And so I didn't quite understand whether I was doing something right or wrong. And I was always consciously aware of that. And so with that being said, you know, coming into my ego death, I met this girl named Peacha. Wonderful person. Shout out to Peacha. I love her. She was my best friend, and you know, at the time when I met her, I was Christian, but she was spiritual, and she was already, I believe, probably like 3 years in, and she kind of just pointed the way, and that's how I describe it. It's like she just pointed the way, and she wasn't trying to force anything. She wasn't like, you know, what you believe in is wrong or whatever. You know, she just wanted to show me what she had, and that I believe is what jump started it, is having someone ease their way into telling me what's going on, you know. Shrooms also helped with that.
Shrooms always help with that.
I was with her when I did my first shroom trip, and we painted and stuff. But I just started researching a lot. I think that that's what helped me become aware, and where my, I guess, differences lie with how Regards Ray experienced hers. You know, like she said, DNA spiral, it ebbs and flows. So mine is where like I just start researching, and then I had my ego death. You know, I don't think I realized even while I was researching, because I had a spiritual ego. Hard. It was like my religion in a way. Like I had to, it was like a vice, you know. I had to carry over my, you know, religion, my structured religion with Christianity into this structured religion, you know, quote unquote, with spirituality. And so through that, because I was researching so much, it made me aware of the situations that was happening in real time. And so that's what started my ego death. And it lasted, you know, we talk about, ooh, let's get into that. The freaking shadow period, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
It just, that's when it hit. I had an ego death, and then the, you know, the tower moment, and everything came crashing down.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of how that all happens, right? Like we just have that full on breakdown of the ego.
So I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I can't do this anymore. This is not who I am. This, I want to change. And I think for me, coming of age around like when I started to do like serious research into spirituality came like around high school. Like 18, like right out of high school, I started to research, and it was so wild because I remember it so vividly. And I remember I went with a friend of mine to New York, and I was walking the streets of New York with her, and there's all these vendors, and there's this book, and it actually was this blue book that was written by Aleister Crowley. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's the devil. Like, I remember people saying that to me.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I go, but he had some amazing things to say, right, about your spiritual journey. And what I was reading in there was just a lot of magic. And I think that's where it came from first, was my desire to learn about witchcraft, my desire to learn about that. And so it wasn't that anybody was really showing me, but I feel like it was my
in your bones.
soul, my bones. Like,
You're like, I need to research this.
it was
shit
like,
now.
it is time. Like,
Yes.
you are of age, and it is time for you to do this.
Yes.
You know, you can have all the little tiny, all of a sudden moments of waking up. But then that one moment when you're like, okay, this is where I'm going to go. And
it feels divine.
It feels divine. And all of a sudden, everything switched. And I decided. I said, okay, I'm done. I'm done with this. I am done with trying to please everybody. I'm done. It's time for me. And just kind of letting that all go away. So yeah,
release.
That's the key, right? We all have to release
a lot of releasing, and the unconsciousness and the ego death, the search.
Yep.
Okay, so I feel like we went over stage 3, the search. Stage 4 is the emergence of the authentic self.
Ooh.
So when did that kind of come up for you?
Well,
when did you feel like it was like, I can't tolerate any more disrespect? You know, I stand on boundaries. You know, my goal is clear.
Yeah, we say that, and I literally feel like I still live in it. Like, I still am learning what are my boundaries. I learn it every day.
New ones.
Yeah. Every day.
Felt.
I feel like for me, yeah, I think the one thing that's also really hard for me is to surrender. I think in that sense, surrendering and allowing spirit to guide me, allowing my guides to guide me. And again, too, right? Because I feel like that last part, bless you.
I was trying to be quiet.
Trying to be quiet and all, but hey, it's gonna be part of our podcast. So, um,
We're not cutting that part out.
we're not cutting. You think we are? We ain't.
And we ain't.
Yeah, it's so like, how can I say this to y'all? I just constantly am feeling like I keep learning a piece of me that needs to be healed constantly. And when that piece gets healed, a new boundary is learned. Right?
New skill unlocked.
And yes, right?
real.
Yes. Level up.
Yes, level up. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that I needed that prior to this.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now I know how to communicate it
Yeah.
and stand on it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot of like releasing, letting it go, realizing when you step into a new situation, you're not reacting like you used to, how you were trained, how you were when you were asleep. We're not asleep anymore. We're awake. Now
we're not
we
the product
know.
of our environment.
Exactly. Now we know. And so I'm like, okay, I am not going to start screaming and yelling and throwing a fit and throwing things at the
Like
wall.
what I'm used to.
Right. I'm not going to do that because that's not who I am today. Today, I realize with compassion, okay, what's going on with this person really has nothing to do with me. I'm triggering something that they have learned in their past, right? And now I need to come to them and go, how can I help you?
Exactly. Whether you are in the wrong or in the right, it's like, I'm here to help you feel safe and secure. You know, I'm not worried about being wrong or right. And if I am wrong, I'm going to apologize. But if I'm right, but I kind of hurt your feelings, I'm going to apologize anyways because I care about you. And I'm not worried about that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm worried about coming back to love and safety and security within that relationship. And I also wanted to mention, too, what really helped me kind of make better choices for myself and become consistent with the new habits I was trying to create for myself to replace the old ones that I had learned, was imagining a little angel and a devil on my shoulder. And so, you know, like the angel would be like, you know, don't send that text, or, you know, don't unblock them, or, you know, just like different things like that. And the devil's like, unblock them, text them, you know? And so, like, you know, it's easier to go to this side because, you know, with the devil, I'm already used to behaving like that. I'm already used to doing that. So I'm comfortable. You know, I know what's going to happen in the outcome. I know what's going to happen if it's good or bad. You know, even in the end, if I get hurt, like, why am I upset? I knew it was going to happen. You know, it's like, it's a feeling that feels good. But also when you make the right choice, people don't realize that that feeling right there makes it feel so much better. It feels so, I'm like, damn, like, I'm that bitch right there. I know my worth, and I follow that. I don't just say, oh, I have values, oh, I have respect for myself, and then not follow that. You know, that's what's important, too, because sometimes we may say, oh, calm down, calm down. Oh, let me fix my mic. I smacked the fuck out of my mic. You know, sometimes we won't be able to see that in other people as well, you know, see them as their authentic self, which can also hinder the way that, you know, we perceive ourselves too. We don't want to project what we think about other people, you know, onto them based off of our perception because of our trauma, you know. It all just goes kind of hand in hand.
Right.
Stage 4, emergence of the authentic self. So now we're feeling like, okay, we respect ourselves. We can respect other people. You know, we know what that looks like because the way that we respect other people is also the way that we respect ourselves initially. You know, if we love ourselves, we can also give that unconditional love to other people. And that's what it kind of talks about in that stage. So I do resonate with all stages. DNA spiral for sure.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
stage 5, life of alignment.
Oh, we're going into stage 5.
Yes.
Life of alignment. Of alignment, yes. Service to others. Joys. Pattern. Less talking and more being. Right? Kind of the soul phase of I am. So coming back to that, and we talk about when I was kind of mentioning earlier about Wayne Dyer. So that is a big one that he really, really was the first that I've heard about, like the I am. And when we think about the I am, we're talking about who are we at a soul level, right? Like, who am I truly? And that comes with the life lived in alignment. Like, we are knowing who we are. Who am I? So it's funny. I used to do his meditation at the very beginning, and this is like right after COVID, right? So this is when I'm like diving deep into this, and I was like, I am changing my life. I am done with who I was. It was full on. And I think when you think about the I am, you always hear people, whether on any social media platform, especially like, TikTok, because that was really coming in at that time.
Yes.
And the I am is, who am I? Who do I want to be? And for me, I was a constant, I am love. I am me. I am free. And when I say that, and it resonates, like right now, I can feel that in my soul, where I'm like, I am fucking free.
And I am love.
And I'm like,
that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes. And because for me, I think that's always been my life. I felt tied down because I needed to make sure everybody else was good except for me. And I'm like, and I'm done. I am free. I am who I am, and this is who I am. And if people don't respect it, don't come back to me with the love I am here to give them, you don't need to be in my energy.
Because you matter.
Yes.
And so do they.
Yeah. But sometimes people are still asleep, and you got to put that boundary.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. Yeah.
I feel like I can admit that I'm at a state where, I need people in my life that are on my level, because I know that I'm easily influenced. And if I surround myself with people who are unconscious or stuck at a certain stage or phase, then I'm going to have a hard time, because I'm going to try and go back to those old patterns and be influenced by that. That's what I'm worried of.
Yeah.
Until I get to a state where life of alignment and I'm like, stage 5, I'm good. I don't feel any need or necessary to have, other people around me. If they are, and they're meant to be around me, whether they are unconscious or whatever, I can handle that because I'll be in a state of energy where that wouldn't matter.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be easily influenced because I already know.
Yeah. And I think that's true for a lot of people who are in this particular phase. And maybe a lot of you guys out there also are freaks that we love and adore. I feel like some of you also are kind of in this stage. And so you might not be feeling like it's okay to do that it's okay to let go of these people. You might be worried about it.
Or you love them and you're scared to let go.
Yeah, but really, you can't look at it as you're letting them go forever, because what actually I feel like happens at this point, and I feel like I've seen it too on my side, where I did have to let a lot of people go, that they actually woke up.
Mm.
They actually woke up. And
The people who are meant for you,
yes.
y'all were able to come full circle.
Yeah.
And be like,
And
hey, it's been 10 years. What's up?
yeah, somebody can wake up because you've put the boundary down. You've
Mm-hmm.
decided that what you're doing is more important. So I'll bring another like situation into this, which is dealing with like my dad. He so you know that's like my mom is very much a liar throughout my life.
A
Hopefully,
pathological.
hopefully she's not listening, but
Don't listen.
don't listen to this.
You're not invited.
So yeah, my mom was lied a lot to me throughout my whole life. And my dad, who is actually my adopted dad, he he just kind of followed her lead a lot of times, right? So she became a born again Christian. He followed. While I am on a spiritual path, I have like Buddha pictures hanging up. I've got Kali. I've got like so many different deities and stuff hanging up in my house. Well, hello, born again Christians. Like, where's your Jesus poster? I'm like, well, not in this house.
This is not the God that we worship.
That's right. And so I was like, I needed them to take care of the house, take care of the pets while I went out of town. And they decided that they were going to come in the house. And I had a lot of like equipment, like pianos and electronic stuff, computers. They decided that they were going to bless the house and they were going to come in with holy water and salt.
Oh.
And they did a whole thing.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. So they did a whole thing.
Wow, you did my job for me.
So they did a whole thing in the house and didn't tell me that they did it. Walked in and I'm like, what is all this stuff all over the floor?
Oh my God, there's salt everywhere.
Salt everywhere, dude. Like, it's everywhere.
Calm
It's everywhere. And so yeah, it was like I knew what they had done. They were the only people that had keys to the house. And I called them and I said, there's salt everywhere in this house. On the keyboards, on the electronics.
What's going on?
All over the floor. What did y'all do? And they go, we didn't do anything. We don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, you little liar. Oh my God.
I was like, what? I go,
And this is your mom, right?
yeah.
Oh,
that's my
the
mom.
pathological liar.
Yes.
Okay, she gaslight you.
And she totally was gaslighting me.
That's crazy,
Totally.
bro.
And, but I'm waking up. I'm at that point where I'm like, no, I know that you did it. And I was like,
Stand on business.
yep. I said, well, until you guys can tell me the truth, I have nothing to say to you. And I stopped all communication with them for like, I think it took like 2.5, maybe 3 weeks.
Really?
Before they came back. And they
Good.
confessed and all that kind of stuff. But my dad said, he goes, that was his awakening. And he told me that.
Really?
And I was like, wow. So it just comes
Wow.
back. It's like
Full
circle. When you stand on business, when you set those boundaries to the people that you love and care about, they learn. You're giving them that opportunity.
I felt
to
that one in
wake
my chest, bro.
up, right? Yes.
My heart, like,
Yeah.
it really, like, sunk for a second because I
Yeah.
could feel that. Even in my current situation right now, you know, like, I haven't had the meeting yet. I'm just saying. The meeting will happen probably tomorrow. But yeah, with the girls at my work that I have been learning so much from. And, you know, like I said before, researching all of this knowledge that I have with regards Ray on YouTube, shout out. It's helped me a lot to understand how much I've grown because of my ability to navigate, there you go, through the situations. And I know that if it was another person who was unconscious, that it would look a lot different. And that helps me realize that I'm in a different position right now. Like, I've outgrown those habits. And so, working with these people, I am nervous but excited to have this, meeting with them, because I told Omar today too. I was like, if it doesn't happen today, that's okay, because the supervisor is, gone right now, and he has to be 2 people. So of course I'm going to be understanding about it. And I was like, yeah, bro, I have patience. And he was like, yeah, I know, I really appreciate it. I was like, you're awesome, dude. And I gave him a fist bump. He was like, no, you're awesome. That's Omar. And I really needed that. But he was worried, that not having enough space and time to have this meeting was going to make me feel like I wasn't getting enough, quote unquote attention. So, I reassured him and was like, no, bro, I don't care. Like, if it happens tomorrow, if it happens Friday, next week, I don't care. But you're being consistent. And I would like to have the conversation, and specifically with the girls in there, because I just feel like I'm talking and they haven't really said anything. And I do want to hear what they have to say. I want everybody to hear what they have to say, and I want to come to some sort of understanding, because I'm going to be working here for a while.
Right.
Yeah. And we all work very, very close together. And the bullying and making fun of me, very loudly, and being obnoxious about it, especially in regards to, I'm champion of the success cart, the cleaning cart. And that means a lot to me, because that shows, I do work hard and I pay attention and I care about our clean room, but the photo that was taken, they just thought it was so funny that they wanted to point and laugh at it. And to me, I'm like, come on now, guys. You want to be so obvious like that? Like, if I don't like you, I'm not going to put that much attention into it. I'm probably just going to avoid you. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be helpful, or I'm not going to respect you. I'm going to respect you, because I know how I used to be in the past, and I don't want to be like that. And I don't want to be the way that you're being. Now it's gone to a point where we have to have that conversation, and I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. I just want to hear what they have to say, and I also want to have... This is like one of these moments I don't think I've ever gotten to have before, where I'm able to be in a situation where I do have anxiety, and I am scared to speak my truth, but I'm going to do it anyways. And I'm going to breathe. Right?
That's right.
I need to breathe, and I need to take my time while I'm speaking too, because anxiety can also get in the way with that. And I know our freaks out there also struggle with that too. I know that's why you're listening. So that comes hand in hand. But, lesson in itself. Don't allow, anxiety to control the way that you speak, or, the way that you breathe, especially because if you don't breathe while you're speaking, you're going to hyperventilate and you start crying. And it's just going to go downhill from there. And nobody's going to understand what's going on.
Yeah, I know. I just think, it's just, it all comes back to us. What?
Full circle.
Full circle.
Full circle.
Full circle. It really does. It really does. And I think that's just living in our truth is, just an amazing piece of this journey that we keep learning and we keep striving to do, right?
That's the whole point.
Yeah, yeah. And finding our joy, knowing what our joy is. And,
Accepting
and
what brings us joy.
Yeah, accepting it. Yes. Not allowing anybody to take that away. So if we go into what is the next phase?
So that was stage 5, life of alignment. So honestly, I don't know if we touched on life of alignment too much, but I do feel like right now what we're currently experiencing is a reflection of that, and the situations that we've also dealt with recently that reflect that. Us meeting each other and getting into this podcast is this is our first episode, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's already been so much flow and connectedness in this episode.
Yep.
So I just feel so natural. Like, this is life of alignment. We've touched life of alignment, and now we get the gifts of what that brings. This is the beginning.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
High vibes and hazy
Absolutely.
thoughts.
Yes. That's right. Oh my goodness. I do. I love that.
I know you also did some research on your
I
end and you took different type of notes,
did.
so I want to check that out.
Yeah, so we've hit all of the ones that we've just touched on, these 5 different ones. But I did find one more that I
Mm,
think we didn't really touch on, and I think that's even just going a step further
let's
of
do it.
where I don't feel I'm quite there yet.
Really? Let's do
But I
it.
feel like that is a phase that's coming, and it really is the return home is what it's
Mm,
what I have here. And it's basically understanding that we are all one, right? It is not about me as an individual. It is about us as a collective, right? Because we all come from one source. We all are connected. And again, if you think about, like, sorry, kind of looking at things that I have seen through psychedelics, like
mm,
you can see the thread.
mm.
We are all
You
connected. Our
can see
souls,
it
you can see
physically.
it. And
I love it.
I feel like, and when we meet people, we connect. Like,
Mm.
that all of a sudden
We
connection.
feel that
You
string
feel
with
that
them.
string. Oh, this,
It's
we,
one of my
we,
soulmates.
yes,
One of
I
my
know
people.
you. I know
You're
you.
my family.
Yep. Yes, exactly. And that comes to that point where you're like going, um, and I've heard this so many times as well, is that I am here, I am a soul living a human experience,
Yes.
right? I am no longer just a person
The
living
ego or the
the
unconsciousness.
yes, exactly. And that's part, I feel like, that enlightened piece of us that, I want to be able to get to that point where I'm like, everybody has their journey. You come in, you go out. I'm here accepting you, and I let you go out with love, right? With love and acceptance. Thank you for coming into my life at this point. I needed you. And I'm going to let you go and go do your next thing that you need to do. And I'm going to go do my next thing.
But I love you.
But I love you. Yeah,
Have fun.
exactly.
Do your thing.
Exactly. Being able to get to that point is a really long journey. And I feel like, you do hear about that as well, like with the Buddhist religion, and you really look at each one of the Buddhist monks that has reached enlightenment, and they hit that point where they're just like, they are in tune with every living thing.
Mm-hmm.
you know
They see the connection in all things.
yes.
In your home, in your furnishings, in your art, in stuffed animals, in pillows.
They're alive.
I feel connected to you. You have emotions. If I don't sleep with this stuffed animal tonight, they're gonna feel really sad.
Yes, 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 exactly. They do. And we are all energy, right? Even the houses, the ground, earth, Mother Earth.
Your yard, your plants,
Yes.
take care of them.
Yes, we are all connected. It is energy exchange between all of us.
It's
and,
alive.
And that's just a whole nother level that right now I'm trying to, I live this. I might not feel it every day, but I do talk to my house. And I tell her, and she is a she. We know that.
She is a she. It's definitely giving she. Okay,
Yeah.
it is. She is. Excuse me. And your yard is beautiful. The grass is very
thank
green.
you.
I know that a home is very lively and full of love when the yard is taken care of. For sure. When the grass is green, it's real grass.
Yeah, yeah. It's
With
real grass.
trees.
Yeah.
It's real grass, not fake grass.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So
Hell yeah.
that's kind of like that one. Yeah, I feel like we've touched on a lot. We've talked about a lot of things,
You know what I feel like we haven't touched on?
Hmm.
Having moments of isolation while you're growing or
Mm-hmm.
during the shadow period.
Yes.
And you're all by yourself and nobody is around you to teach you these experiences, or you are around people but they're very unconscious
Mm-hmm.
and they teach you more about yourself and you have some sort of connection with them, but you don't, really, it's more of just like an ego connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that shadow period in general, it lasts for as long as you let it. For me, it lasted for 2 years. That specific shadow period.
Mm-hmm.
Ego deaths came after that, sure, but
Mm-hmm.
the shadow period, the dark night of the soul,
Mm-hmm.
that is treacherous.
Mm-hmm.
That is a path that is less likely to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're strong enough and you are willfully, your mindset is so strong with justice and passion. Justice and passion. Okay. God, that was a tongue twister. You can do anything. You can push through anything, Even if you're around people and in those situations, you still feel alone. Alone in that. I'm the only one going through this stuff. Derealization is also a thing I looked up to, like this doesn't even feel real. I'm the only one here right now, and all of y'all are so unconscious that it's scaring me. It's creeping me out. Wake up, please, because this is not okay, or like whatever, but they can't. They're just so stuck like that, and the more that you try to wake them up out of it, it hurts them and triggers them more. Like you try to exercise someone, like no. The power of Christ compels you. Like no, they're resisting, and it just gets worse and worse. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, that's good.
That shit's so funny. I see that in so many fucking scary movies. I can't get it out of my brain, but that's how I see it too.
Yeah.
You try to expose things as what they are with people who are unconscious or in their ego. It triggers them, which I get it. Me too.
Yeah.
When I was younger, me too.
Yeah.
Still today, me too. Even if I don't react as mildly as I did prior to this, but my current stage, like I have the mindset of it. So even if the thought comes in, even if I'm able to push it to the side sometimes, like I still have that mindset and I still have that minor reaction, whether or not it's like normal human behavior, So yeah, periods of isolation during the dark night of the soul. What about you?
Yeah. I think I look at that. So the thing that keeps popping in my head when you talk about that is hermit. So pulling that hermit card in tarot, right? We all have to go through it. We all have to be able to. It might be uncomfortable for us because that is the ego dying. Is that I'm okay. I don't need to have all these people around.
I'm protected.
I have my team. I'm okay. I'm not really alone.
I don't need to be scared about the future.
No.
Or what's going to happen to me.
Yeah. That. And that takes a lot to get to that point. And I will tell you, that's a lot of crying and a lot of tears being shed for me. Mom. Yes.
Dude, during that time too, scream crying, rolling down all the windows in my car and blasting a song.
Oh, yes. Oh,
that felt good.
That is the best.
Out.
It is. It's the best. It is the best. I have to say, that is the thing that I always did.
10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, try it out. Let us know what you guys think.
Let us know in the comments if you've done that before, and if you try it after this, let us know how you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's freeing. You want to be free?
Free as you'll ever be.
Yes, right.
Nice. We touched on everything. We really did. We've been sipping on our margaritas.
That's good.
That my girlfriend made me.
That's right.
Salt on the rim and everything.
They're
smoking.
The best.
I think she took a gummy. I took a gummy too.
Yeah.
That's what we're about. High vibes and hazy thoughts.
That's right. Oh my goodness, this has been amazing.
We've touched on so much.
So much.
We really did.
And we have so much ready for you guys in the next coming episodes that I can't wait to share with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. And, you know, let us know in the comments. Like, we'll be reading them. And as we go through when we build our community for our podcast, we want to be able to start engaging with you guys as well. So that's TikTok. The future to come. That's the future.
Let us know, you know, what stage you think you're in and, you know, how you feel and what's your perspective. And, you know, we can go over all of that and reply to your comments. But we do want to get on TikTok live and interact with you more. So that's probably more reliable to do that. So, yeah.
That'll be coming soon.
All right, it looks like we covered everything, freaks. We hope you're feeling those high vibes after today's chat.
Yo, and you made it to the end. Big love for vibing with us. Smash that follow button so you're always in the smoke circle. And if you enjoyed our convo, drop us a rating and pass the pod to your homies.
Yes, please. We'll be back next week with more high vibes, hazy thoughts, and, of course, some fun surprises. So until then, stay lifted.
Stay chill.
And keep
those good vibes rolling. Yeah. Woo. Catch us next time, freaks. Boop, boop. Peace, love, and good vibes. Yeah.